Well, I want to thank you for all taking the time to learn about the Knotwood product. My name is Karl Costandi. I'm the CEO of Alumarch. Alumarch is the largest distributor of Knotwood products in North America. Actually, they told us recently we're the largest in the world. So we represent about 40 to 45% of all of the Knotwood sales in North America. We've been selling the product for 7 to 8 years, but full out for the last 5 years. All right. Tell you a little bit about Knotwood and where it's come from. Knotwood very originally is an Australian product. It was designed by installers. They've been doing it for about 2 decades in Australia. And as of January of this year, they had previously sold the company to a company called Omnimax, and the Australians have bought back Knotwood. And so they're now running Knotwood USA. For us that have been in the business for a while, we're extremely happy. They're bringing a lot of new innovative product, a heck of a lot more knowledge, and a much more professional way of running a business. They, like us, are very much into customer service. It's important to us. We don't want to sell you one deal. We want you to keep using the product over and over. So we got a long-term business relationship with you. So I'm going to jump right into the product. All right. Absolutely everything that we sell is 18'6" long aluminum extrusions. So we take a 6063 T6 aluminum, we extrude it, goes through multiple processes of cleaning. We put a powder coat on it, and then it goes through a process called sublimation. And what we do is we take one of the extrusions, we put a film over the top of it, we put it into an oven, we effectively turn that powder coat to a gas, we tattoo the wood grain right down through the powder coating paint, then we bring it back to a solid. So unlike a lot of other products out there on the market where it's just on the surface, this is tattooed right through the powder coating paint. So this will not fade away. Over a 15-year period, which is the length of time that Knotwood is warranted for, we expect a 4 to 6% fade. All right. So we do multiple wood grains. There's just selection after selection. And then we also have all of the products available in solid colors also. Everything we make is available in every color that we have. All right. So it's not, you can only get this and this, and you can only get this and this and this. All right. So hopefully you guys have all looked at our website a little bit, and you can see we have basically 9 systems. All right. I'm going to make that a little easier for you. I'm going to tell you we only have 3 systems. So one system is our cladding, which is the same system as the soffits, and it's the same system as the decking. All right. So all of them fall into one group, and they're basically using extrusion like this. And we'll get a little bit more into this in a sec. The next section we have would be based on our slats. And our slat is basically a fencing slat. All right. This incorporates our gates, our fencing, our screening. What's the other one? There's one more. Gates, screening, fencing, and it'll come to me later. All right. And then our third system is all based on our battens. And our battens are a 2-part assembly, which is a batten base and a batten. All right. And this is what we do most of our sun screening, trellises, and decorative parts on the front of a building, verticals or whatever. You can use it for, there's just so many applications for this. So what we're going to start with today is going to be the cladding. The cladding is pretty much the #1 selling product that we have. Everything I'm going to say about cladding refers to also the soffits, okay? Just whether we're putting it on the wall or on the ceiling. Just basically, it comes in a 4-inch, a 6-inch, or an 8-inch. All right? So, now, as I said, everything is 18'6". Quite often, in the sublimation process, you might see tape on the ends. So although it all comes in 18'6", we only recommend allowing to use 18'4" of the product. Okay?
There was a question about warranty, so you can just tell them to interrupt.
Yeah. You guys got any questions? Just, speak up. What was the question about the warranty? Who had the question?
What was the length of the warranty?
15 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, all right. That allows for the aluminum to expand and contract without holding it, so you don't get it warping. Another nice thing about the Knotwood, because of the way that these channels go together, the way that two pieces go together, if an installer is doing a project and the wall is doing this, when he goes to put the next piece in, it won't go in. So it forces the installer to shim out the wall wherever he's got an issue. And it's not like you're going to finish a wall, look up at it, and you got a big concave area in the middle of the wall. That will not happen, cannot happen with Knotwood. They will not be able to continue installing till they fix that problem. So you've got that look, and then, like I said, it can have with the gaps or without the gaps. All right? It can go horizontally. You can also start at the bottom and install upwards. You can also go vertical. All right? You can mix and match your 4-inch with your 6-inch with your 8-inch. And then you can mix and match your colors also. So there's endless possibilities that you can do. Well, when you get, it's on our website, if you go to our soffit page, you'll see a project where we've done that. We've mixed the 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, and we've mixed 3 different colors. Now, with regards to around openings, around doors, let's say we're bumping up to some brick or something, to a dissimilar material. Unlike a lot of other claddings where you would have a J channel, there's no way you're going to bend this into a J channel. All right. So all of our materials or all of our trims come as a 2-part assembly. All right. So you're going to have a base that goes onto the wall first. Then you're going to apply your cladding. And then you're going to come along with a cap that caps it all off. And if I show you just on the end here, you see there's a male and a female. All right? So one will go on the wall first, and then you're going to put your cladding, and then you're going to... So this is basically like a J channel, or you'd use this everywhere you use a J channel. And then our corners are done exactly the same. Because it's got to go in there and drop down, we couldn't just bend it into a corner. So our corners are also a 2-part assembly with a male and a female. All right? Simple as that. All right? With the corners, if it's an interior corner, we're going to put this piece on first and then put this, which creates the internal corner. If it's an exterior corner, we go with the male piece first, then we put the female on. So basically, you're going to go and put all your bases onto the wall. You're going to then put all of your cladding onto the wall. And then you're going to go and finish it off with the finishing piece, either the male corner or the female corner, or this is what we call top clip and base. And one just fits into the other. You use a dead blow hammer, it smashes it down. You can see the size of this trim is a fair size. And the reason we do that is we're not going to put this right tight in there. All right, it's not going to be tight. We're going to leave a bit of space to allow for the expansion and contraction of the product. All right, with everything that we build, everything to do with the Knotwood, it's aluminum. We have to allow for that expansion and contraction. That thermal movement, you'll not stop it. So all the systems have been built to allow and to absorb that material, or to absorb that expansion. All right. Everything I
Is there no mechanical fastener holding that corner or that edge piece on?
Yes.
Is it just friction?
Yeah, just friction. But I'll tell you, it's like, I'm not going to get that apart. I can, but it's going to be a real fight. Like, I can't. Yeah, it's that's not even completely together. So Yeah, it very rarely. Go ahead. Yeah, this is your installer's best friend, dead blow hammer. And now that's completely, and it's very, very precise product. This measures exactly 16 millimeters. The thickness of the cladding is 16 millimeters. So you can see there, when I put those two together, you don't see a gap there. Very precise. But that's all that's required. We do not have a problem with these popping off. All right. Likewise with the corners.
How about the corner pieces? I'm confused how those stay up on the wall once you put them on.
This is your base. Let's say this is an outside corner. We're going to go and put a number 10 screw every 22 inches on here. 24.
Okay, so that does get
that gets fastened, and then your cladding goes on, and then this is again a friction fit. All right. If there is, every once in a while we get something slightly out of tolerance, and if it is slipping a bit, it's just a matter of taking that full length and give it just a little twist, and then that'll stop it from sliding down. All right. But yeah, once you've put a few of these together and tried to take them apart, you'll realize, yeah, they're not meant to come apart. It can be done, but it's very, very difficult to do. Now, what would be perfect is if the biggest wall we ever worked with was 18'4". Sometimes we've got a 30-foot wall. All right. We can go and butt two of these pieces together. All right. Call it a butt joint. Looks very natural. All right. We go and put a screw in this lip and a screw in this lip to keep that butt joint tight. And then what we're doing is we're forcing the expansion out to the ends. So then at that end and then at that end, we either need a corner or we need one of those top clips and base, which was the J channel, or we have one other molding, which is basically a T molding. All right. And this is to absorb the expansion and contraction. Okay. So if you get a wall, for instance, that's 100 feet long, we're going to end up cutting it into sections, and we're going to need one of these every 30 feet or so. All right. Now, I say that on our website, you'll see a project that we did. It's called Kearney Lake Plaza. I don't know, B, can you pull up a picture of Kearney Lake Plaza? This is a building that was 100 feet long. I think 120 feet long. The architect did not want to see these dividers every 30 feet or so. So we told them we can go and just put them in and have multiple butt joints. They just need to resign to the fact that it's going to open and close seasonally. All right. So you are going to have a little gap there. All right. In the summer, it's probably going to be nice and tight. And in the winter, it's going to contract a little bit, and you will have an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch gap there. Architect said, yes, that's what I would prefer rather than having these dividing lines. All right. Alternatively, we're going to use a joiner in those locations. All right. One other thing to take into account when working with the Knotwood is when this is all put together, there's no taking a piece off in the middle. So when we get into larger projects, let's say we're doing a very large soffit, we'll go and add these joiner pieces every 30 feet or so, not only to absorb that expansion, but also if they need to get access inside or up into that area, at least they're not having to tear the whole assembly off. All right. This project here, you can see how long on your screen, how long a run we got on there, and we don't have any of those joiners. All right. Customer was fine with that because we get a little bit of opening and closing, and that's what the architects decided they would rather have. All right. One other thing on soffits is we have also a vented board. All right. If it needs to be vented. That's soffits and siding. The decking, however, works pretty much the same. It's the exact same profile, except it has a thicker wall on it. All right. And it goes together like this. And then we've got various edge moldings and what have you for the decking. Not going to go too much into the decking because we don't do that much with it. All right. So that's cladding, soffits, and decking. Next biggest seller is our batten system. Our batten system it amazes us how much we sell. Every piece of it, again, 18'4". So simply, it's a two-part assembly. So we have a batten base, and then we have a batten. So this batten base, the back wall of it is very thick. It's 3 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter. We're going to put two number 14 fasteners here, two number 14 fasteners here, and take the batten. We're going to snap it on. When you snap that together, there's not a lot of movement. Very difficult to move it. So you want to make sure it's in the right place. When it snaps together, I'm not going to snap that together. We end up with that assembly. And then we have an end cap to go on the end, which looks very clean. That's your battens. So this is available in 2x2, 2x4, 2x6, and 2x8. Then we have a 1-inch batten suite. Works the same. You've got a batten base that's going to be attached to your structure. All right. Just snaps on and then snaps together. Done. Finished. Simple. Very easy. Now we do various different types of mounts for this. Quite often we're building a lot of screen walls and things like that and privacy screens. They're going to want to mount it on the bottom and on the top. So we devise a little bracket that goes down into the batten here, gets attached to the batten, and then screwed to the ceiling and the floor. And then after that is installed, you come along with your batten base and cap it all off. So that fastening is completely concealed. Okay? With the battens, I'm going to just take you to our website. Can we pull up the battens page? Right. Our website's all the different systems that we're talking about are all going to be laid out the same. So first of all, we're going to have a pretty picture. If you scroll down on it, it's going to give you a rough rundown of what the product does and what it's used for. Then we've got a series of pictures showing different applications for the battens. You can see here, we're using it for screening. We're using it for accents on the front of the building. In one area there, we're using it for a fence. Then you scroll, then there we've gone and circled around a window. You're only limited by your own imagination as far as what you can do with it. If you scroll down further, gives you a little bit more of a blurb, shows you a few diagrams of what you can do with it. Then a row of the actual profiles. Then we get into the actual items. If you know, at the bottom of every one of these items, there's a PDF. So if you click on the PDF, it's going to give you the spec on that actual item. And then what's handy with the battens is on the right-hand side and at the bottom, it shows you your vertical and your horizontal spans. All right. For instance, the 2x2, we can go up to 7'6" vertically or horizontally. With the 2x4, I believe it's 13'6". When we get into the 2x6 and the 2x8, it'll span a full 18'6". Right? You can use this for anything. I don't know if you can see here, we're using it for shelves on our wall, right? It's just, there's so many options, so many things you can do with it. All right? When I do an architectural lunch and learn, I'll go through all these systems. Then I tell them to just forget everything I just said to you and look at this as a building block. All right? So although we don't have it in our presentation or on our website, it doesn't mean it can't be used that way. And we see some, lots of different uses for this. The vertical application on the front of the building, it's amazing how much business there is in that. Parking garages, a lot of the municipalities are saying, no, you can't just go and stick a concrete block in the middle of the city any longer. We want to see some decorative materials on it. So we use a lot of this on parking garages, spanning between the floors. With parking garages, if you're working on a project like that, 18'6" might not be a very convenient length, as with probably two 10-foot floors. So in those cases, we can do a custom length. All right. We need roughly $20,000 per profile, and then we can start doing custom lengths up to 24 feet. All right. A little bit of an extended lead time. So when you get onto one of those larger commercial projects, get us involved because we'll do some value engineering with you. Or maybe if we had a 10-foot batten or a 10-foot call for this product, sometimes we're going to come back and say, can we get away with 9'2" because our standard is 18'6" with 18'4" usable. All right. So these battens can go vertically, they can go horizontally, they can go diagonally. You can do whatever you want with them. The other very big use for these is for sun screening pergolas and trellises. So when we get into trellises, we take a post. We add to the side of the post, we'll go and add a beam. So here's a beam. Beam goes on the side of the post. Then all we got to do is come along with our battens, attach our batten to the top of it, and then snap the batten down. Trellis is done. Made it sound a bit easier than it really was. Yeah. We have a whole bunch of gadgets and gadgets to make all this stuff go together. For instance, we have a beam to post mount, pretty heavy duty aluminum that gets screwed in there. Your beam fits over the top, gets screwed down from the top, that attaches that. All right. Going through this quickly, when we get into a project, I'm happy to slow it down and show you a little bit more about how it goes. The battens are incredibly easy in that you're just going to screw straight down into the top of the beam. You know, it could be flush, it can be overhanging. Once you've got that in place, you're just going to come along with your batten, snap that in place. All right, and then we're going to add an end cap to the end, so we're finishing it off so it looks more like that. And that's how simple those are. If we're doing a trellis, and instead of having the batten on top of the beam, and we want it into the side of the beam, so it's like that, we're just going to use our end mount bracket. The end mount bracket is going to go onto the beam. If we want it on an angle, we can also angle it. If they want it underneath the beam, we can go underneath the beam like that. So canopies, all that sort of thing, that's when we're using the battens. All right. And then you've got also all the 1-inch batten suite. So everything I just said also applies to this. Not as strong, not as big, won't take as much wind load, and won't do as great a spans, but quite useful. Yeah. Okay. That was battens real quick. Any questions about that?
Who's performing that work typically? I mean, is this decking people doing this, or is this siders or handymen or landscapers, or?
We're all over the place, right? So even your window guys, because you're so familiar with working with aluminum, I would have to say that our biggest customer would be your ACM dealer or your ACM installer. And I would say that is because of they're usually doing siding and facades. All right. When we get into the trellises and the fencing, we're usually going on to a landscaper. All right. This product in Australia is marketed as a do-it-yourself product, and homeowners are doing it. So we would provide enough direction and assistance and drawings and what have you that it's not terribly difficult to work with. It's not. We say it's one step above Lego, but we do work with it every day. So,
and is there an actual preferred cutting method?
Yes. So the number one method of cutting would be using a chop saw with an 80-tooth non-ferrous chop saw blade. All right. Let's say we're doing a soffit and we want to put holes in for pot lights. We would use a hole saw for metal. We would use a jigsaw. All right. I've got a project right now where they're putting heaters into the soffit. So we just told them, drill a hole in all four corners, cover it with tape, use a jigsaw. All your standard woodworking tools with the correct blade on it is what you would use with this.
Okay.
no real specialized tools required other than when it comes to snapping all those products together, we recommend that they have a dead blow hammer. We see a lot of people hitting it with rubber hammers. Sounds like it might be good because it's not going to damage it, but it's sort of defeating the purpose because it's bouncing back. They're better off to use a piece of wood and a regular hammer. Your
fasteners. Are you requiring a fastener that you manufacture, or are you just specifying a fastener?
We're specifying the fastener. Pretty simple. Most of it is a self-tapping screw. All right. It needs to be stainless steel, galvanized, or epoxy coated. So something that is not going to rust. All right. Something that's not going to react with the aluminum. All right. And it depends on what they're going into. On cladding, for the most part, it's a number 10 screw. When we get into the battens, we're into a number 12 to 14. If you refer back to those product data sheets that are all through the website, it'll tell you what fastener is required. All right. We also have standard shop drawings on all of our assemblies, and that shows them the basics as to what fasteners and what technique to use. Then we're happy to assist in any way we can. We'll help with the install. We give our phone number out and tell them to call us on an iPhone. And if you want to FaceTime us, we'll walk you through the process. We fabricate all these to order depending on the project. All right. So we've got standard engineering. A lot of the projects we get into, we need project specific engineering. All right. We'll get into this a little bit more when I get onto the fences. All right. But we do these in all different sizes, whatever's required. We do them in steel. We do them in aluminum, and we order them as needed. All right. We do sit on an inventory of the most common ones, but usually they're quite project specific. Our choice when putting a post in the ground is always to have it into concrete if we possibly can. If that's not an option, then we might go on to something like this. What we found lately that has been working very well is we've come up with a 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch galvanized HSS that they set down into concrete. We were finding when they're putting these into concrete at the beginning stages of the build, these are getting beat up too much. So we're just providing a post that goes down into the concrete, put it where they need it. After everybody's out of the way and all the concrete guys are no longer on site, we're then going over, sliding this off, a couple of set screws in the side, and building from there. We just had developed, we're just getting the final engineering done on it. We're using that in our 4x4 post. All right. We're doing some of end mounting this. In places where we're mounting at the ceiling and the floor, we're using this down at the floor, something else at the ceiling. All right. So we keep coming up with different items, and then we do a lot of custom stuff depending on what the application is. So our basic fencing system starts with a post, a two-way post. Then we also do a corner post. All right. The way that it works is we take a slat, and our slats come in 1.5, 2.5, 4, or 6 inches. The slat slides into that groove there and then gets secured with a couple of screws in through here. After that's secured, any configuration you want, you can mix and match the sizes of slats. You can have whatever spacer, and we provide a spacer that goes in here in 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1 inch, or you can do a custom size if you want. After this is all assembled and we've got our screws in here, this infill strip that is going to come along here, snap right in there. All right, I need my hammer. I'm not going to put, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. Snap that in, and that conceals the screws behind it. Now, let's say they want to, instead of just doing a fence, they want to do a hand railing. It's a hand railing. We're then going to go and add this item to this receiver for the handrail on the top. That's going to fit in there, get screwed in through here, and then the handrail just snaps onto the top. All right. Let's say they want a vertical installation. What we're going to do is we're going to go and provide a couple of channels top and bottom. So we're going to take this, we're going to put this on the side, and then we're going to come along with our vertical pickets. All right, and then we cap off the top with another trim. All right, so extremely adaptable. If we get into a heavier duty fence, instead of using the 2 9/16, we're going to use the 4x4 posts for the fence. We're then going to add a U channel to the side of it, like this, and then it's ready to start receiving the slats. Okay. The slat fits in, screw it in place, cap it all off. Absolutely every single profile that we make, every single one of them has an end cap. All right. It's an aluminum end cap. It's finished in the same wood grain finish. It pressure fits in there. We use a 2-part epoxy or an aluminum or a heavy duty silicone to secure it permanently. All right. So that's the basics of the fencing. And like I said, if we go to our fencing page, all right. So go to the gallery and click on one of the gallery. If you click on one of these gallery pictures, it'll enlarge it. All right. Yeah, let's just stop on that one for a sec. See the top of that one? We've got angled slats at the top. So we have this item here, which enables us to put angled sections. If you want to do screening in front of an air conditioning unit, and again, it's very simple to achieve it. This is just so it's our regular slat. We put a thingamajig in there, a doodly maflink, and then that just fits into the grooves that we have on all the other, it can go straight into the post. It can go straight into a U channel and go straight into one of these channels. All right. So let's go back to the fencing page, please. All right. So that's one style of fence there. You can see we mix vertical with horizontal. All right. There's a rather minimal one where we just used 1.5-inch pickets horizontally or vertically. There's some more mixing and matching. There's your solid fence. It's an option to use a different colored post. There's another simple fence there, just vertical. Solid fence. All right, there it is, the solid color. So, and a fence or a screen to us is basically the same thing. Another thing is when we build a fence, sometimes people want to get out of there. So we build gates. We have 2 different gate sizes. We have a large gate frame and a small gate frame, depending on the size of the gate. Again, extremely simple. You've got the groove where your slats fit in. Slot goes in. All right. We're going to put a screw in there to secure it. And then we're going to come along and cap it off with this. All right. Normally, what we're going to do is we're going to picture frame this with a mitered corner. And then we're going to put in a cleat in the corner to get this. That would be mitered. Boom, boom. We'll put the other one obviously here, 3 sides. We put 3 sides together. We slide all the slats in, put the 4 slide, and then we go and screw this in all along here into every slat. Can we go to the gate page and pull up the CAD pros file down at the bottom of the gate page? We scroll down at the bottom. Once we get past all these assemblies, the individual things, we'll get into actual assembly drawings. Just go down a little bit further, Megan, and just click on the one with the CAD profile. Go back up, right there. So if you look at this, once you've got all those screws in, all those slats all the way around, this will not twist. It will not warp. You can hang off the side of that. It's not going to sag. Nothing's going to happen to it. Extremely strong and relatively lightweight for such a strong gate. All right. We sell hinges, we sell latches, we sell the posts for that to be attached to. And that's your gates. I've run out of stuff to sell. That's it. That's a quick rundown on all of the products. And like I said, you're only limited by your own imagination.